People would kind of just go, oh, there's Ed with his camera again. Where did it go? But it also was before social media, so the self-consciousness wasn't there. That no one thought, oh, this is going to go directly onto Instagram. Explaining it out loud sounds ridiculous, kind of, because it's like, what, like, why do you care about these random people in the street? Hello, may I shoot a photo with your dog? Like, why are you spending your time doing this? But it's fun, and even when it gets too dark for my camera, I'll whip out the iPhone and go around shooting people just because I'm obsessed with getting images like that. My name is Ed Templeton, that's it. I always joke that when I sit down on a plane and the guy next to you asks, like, what do you do? I have a choice to make. I can look at the guy and decide, do I want to talk about skateboarding, or do I want to talk about art, or do I want to talk about business or something? I'm a former professional skateboarder. You know, I turned pro for skateboarding in 1990. Retired in 2012, when at the age of 40 I broke my leg really badly. 94 is when I discovered some books, started seeing photography in a high art sense, I guess. A friend of mine was going on a trip and wanted me to hold his books for him. He's like, will you take care of my books while I'm gone? And in those books was Nan Goldin, Ballad of Sexual Dependency, and Larry Clarke, Teenage Lust. And both those books blew my mind at that time. And the lesson I took from those books was shoot your own circle. And of course, I've always been more understated as a person. I never really started doing drugs or anything, so I was always the nerd amongst the skaters. I was like the guy who had the camera and wasn't really drinking and partying, just observing, I guess. So yeah, I felt like I was in a position to really see the culture. People I was around are crazy, you know. It's like, I don't know how they do it. They're like jumping down 20 stairs and then drinking all night and getting wasted and getting up the next day and doing it again. It's like, how do they survive? You know, normal athletes are training and like drinking water and being safe, and like these guys are just, yeah, destroying their bodies inside and outside, physically and through drugs. I took it really seriously after that. 94, I just like, that's it, I'm carrying a camera and I'm gonna like start shooting this lifestyle. And that was the start. And then of course, photography opened up from there.
I don't want to mess up the shot.
So it's a 46.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, 46.
Now in the 46 department we are quite limited.
All right.
I think this is as dirty as it gets.
So this is a photograph of Brian Anderson, the night he won the world championship in Dortmund, Germany. And he's, resting in the room. There's pornography on the TV. He's having a cigarette. He's having this moment of relaxation after a really taxing day. It's one of those photos that I like the photo for what it was at the time, but it makes even more, it tells a bigger story now, fast forward into the future, because Brian Anderson was in the closet. He's a gay skateboarder, and all the photos I have of him documented, he's kind of living a double life. Anyone who's skated for a long time knows how much it's like you love it, but it also takes a lot. It takes a lot from you physically. So it kind of is a good illustration of that, the downside of skateboarding, the dark side. That was one aspect of it. I wanted to tell that story. And then, yeah, the fame part of it was another big part of it. The boredom was a big part of it. All of the time we spend was getting from point A to point B. You know, you're driving for 5 hours across Texas to get to a small town to do a demo. And that's most of the job. You're like in a gas station, you're in a hotel room, and then there's 2 hours of glory when you show up at the demo and all the kids are happy and you're signing autographs and you're skating and you're showing off and you're doing everything. And then you're back to the hotel room and it's onto a plane or onto something. So that lifestyle was something I wanted to document. What was happening in between time? What did these kids do to combat their boredom? It looks, when you see all this work collected, it feels like maybe it was invasive. Like I was always there shooting and making myself more like an outsider, but really it was, I'd come back from a tour with maybe like 5 rolls of film or something, not a lot. Like in retrospect, I didn't shoot as much as I probably should have. So it wasn't that intrusive. It was like, you know, I don't think it made me more of an outsider than I already was, just by the fact that I wasn't really like, when everyone was like, let's smoke and let's go try to get chicks or something. I was always like, I'm just going to stay at the hotel and write my book, or, you know, you guys go have fun and do what you want. And then sometimes I'd have to go collect them from the bar, and that's when I would get photos of them being drunk and crazy, because I had to like make sure they were back home safe by the end of the night. In a lot of ways, this body of work isn't possible without the trust of those people. You know, I had to reach out to a number of the people in the book, especially as time has changed and they all have endorsements still. You know, I had to be like, hey, is it okay? There's a photo of you know, chopping up some cocaine, and and you know, maybe you'll lose your sponsor if that's out in the world, or you have a different girlfriend now and there's photos of you with a girl or something like that. And so if it wasn't for that trust, and there was a number of photographs that I had to take out for those reasons, you know, even at the last second, like right before the book was published, I found out someone didn't want one of the photographs that was in the book to be in it, so I had to take it out. So, and then some I just left out because I knew this is not going to be good for them now. So, so that was a struggle, because how do you tell the story and keep the teeth in the story without, you don't want to defang it and make it vanilla and just like, oh yeah. So you have to keep some of the grit in there. Dust everywhere. Yeah, so this is sort of a sequence in a way. When I saw this guy come out super angry, I started shooting pictures, and you can see he's pointing here, get away, and then he actually grabs the kid and starts roughing him up here. And this is when the kid broke away. And so that's probably my favorite photo, but I think this helps tell the whole story. And it says, local businessman roughs up skater boy, Netherlands, 2009. You never really know until you get the photo back, did it really tell a story? And there's always like one thing that makes you want to shoot the photo, but then you might not even understand, because when you freeze that moment of time, you can examine each corner of the photograph, and inevitably in the moment I miss something. And then I look in the background like, oh, this sign is interesting that's with this, that I didn't think of that when I was shooting it necessarily, but it actually works because it are, you know, symbolism and things. So that's the kind of stuff I look for. And I have like multiple themes in my head all the time that I'm trying to like go for. So, and I've done books of some of these. So like Teenage Smokers is one thing, is a book I did. People kissing is always good. You know, if I see someone kissing and they're lost in kissing, I'll maybe see if I can shoot a photo. Religious affectations. So I love the idea of how religion manifests itself in modern culture generally. So if people have like a big cross or something, or like a shirt that has, it's more common in the United States actually than it is here, but those are the kind of, I'm interested in those things. Like, yeah, because I'm working on a series about, yeah, how religion sort of, how people like to show their religion outwardly. Yeah, Deanna always says that I look like a street skater when I'm out shooting photos, because I'm just constantly like zooming around from photo to photo, looking ahead of me like I would as I was skating, like make sure I don't run into something, looking like 30 feet ahead to see like, oh, there's someone I want to shoot 30 steps ahead, so I'm getting my camera ready, and then when I pass by, I shoot it. So yeah, I think that. And then the do-it-yourself part of it, I think, is something that comes from skateboarding for me that we just do now. It's just like, I just like doing everything myself. Maybe I lay out my own books. I'm the designer on the book. I come and hang the shows myself. I'm using the tools and everything. So it's just, I just feel like coming from that culture, I just learned how to do everything from the ground up. And so I just prefer to do it myself. I just come and, I mean, I appreciate help from the gallery to do the grid. I'm like, yeah, you guys can do the grid. That's a lot of measuring, but I'll do the rest. And so that's fun. And it keeps me from being one of those stuffy artists who's sitting there in the chair saying, move it to the left, move it to the right. It's like, oh, do it yourself. And then you can't complain when it's not perfect. Further away. You gotta be closer.